Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual College Fair presented by Colleges That Change Lives. Thank you for joining us. Few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your cameras and microphones are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening. Be sure to sign up for additional ones where you sign up for this one. This presentation is being recorded. It'll be available within about a week at the same website where you registered. I will step out of the way now and turn it over to our presenters. Again, thank you for coming today.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. My name is Allie Rafferty. I am one of our admission counselors here in the Office of Admission at Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee. And I am really excited to get to talk with y'all today, share a little bit about our campus and what our students are doing here at Rhodes. So if you guys do have any questions at any point in the webinar, please feel free to add them in the Q&A box and we will get them answered as soon as possible. So what we'll essentially be talking about today is what your time as a Rhodes student looks like on our campus. So we think of that in 3 different ways, and these comprise what we call the Rhodes Edge here for our students. So the first is obviously being intellectually ready. So talking about your classroom experience and what that looks like for our students here at Rhodes. The second is being leadership ready. So outside of the classroom, what are our students engaging in? What are they participating in to be a well-rounded student in that way? And then, of course, being career and grad school ready, which is the goal of your 4 years as a student here at Rhodes College. So to give you a pretty broad picture of what our student body looks like here on our campus, we have approximately 2,000 students that will be joining us in our Rhodes classrooms every year here on campus. So the really important thing to remember about that is that we are a primarily undergraduate school. So those 2,000 students, they're all pretty much undergrads. So your time as a Rhodes student is really focused on your 4 years during undergrad. So our students are coming from 45 different states and 55 different countries, all to join us here within the city of Memphis. And our multicultural and international student population makes up about 31% of our student body. So being a small liberal arts college, we are really in the business of making well-rounded students. And one of those ways that we make sure that happens is through bringing well-rounded backgrounds into our Rhodes classroom. So we take a lot of pride in the fact that our students are coming from all over the place to join us here. So we'll talk about our classroom experience and being intellectually ready. So obviously that comes through your academics here at Rhodes. So we have a student to faculty ratio of 10 to 1. So this is talking about your professors that you're taking your courses from. Maybe it's also your advisors that are helping guide you in your course selection every semester. It could also be your research professors. So these are just our faculty members who are interacting with you in various capacities during your time here at Rhodes. But then your average class size is also going to be 14 to 1. So this is a very typical setup of a Rhodes classroom in all of the departments here on campus. So it's very discussion-based in a Rhodes classroom, which is why we like to keep it small so everybody has a chance to have their voice heard every single class. So we really take pride in that discussion-based classroom setting as well. But though, like I mentioned earlier, we are a small liberal arts and sciences college. So we are really aiming towards making well-rounded students. And the way that we do that through our curriculum is through what we call the Rhodes Foundations curriculum. So rather than having a specific set of courses that we want students to take during their time here at Rhodes, we have created 12 skills that we know are going to be important for our students to possess by the time that they graduate from Rhodes. So the reason that we highlight these skills rather than the actual specific courses is so students can stay engaged with their discussion-based classes. We are finding that students who are biology majors weren't necessarily engaged in their philosophy courses. So we created the skills so students could have flexibility and can also understand how these skills apply to non-traditional courses as well. So our students know these as their math courses, their art courses, their history courses, but the skill themselves are a little bit longer in their titles. So for example, what we call the math course here at Rhodes is actually called Gaining Facility with Mathematical Reasoning and Expression. So that kind of highlights the math reasoning and the math expression. So you can take a course like calculus or statistics to count for this foundations curriculum course. But you could also take logic in the philosophy department, where you're using those mathematical reasoning skills, but applying them to word problems rather than number problems with symbols for the entire semester. You could also use those mathematical expression skills and take a computer science course. So there's a lot of ways that our students are engaging with this curriculum non-traditionally. But so you'll meet with an advisor at the beginning of every semester, and they will help guide you on which courses you should take within your major courses and also within the foundations curriculum to make sure that you will take all of these classes and graduate within your 4 years here at Rhodes. So the curriculum is also designed to kind of double dip into fulfilling a foundations curriculum course while also taking a course within a lot of your majors that we offer here on campus as well. And the really great thing too is that you don't actually declare your major until your second semester of your sophomore year. So there's plenty of time to explore around and use the foundations curriculum to discover new courses you may not have taken in your traditional kind of path through college. So we offer over 50 different majors and minors for our students here on campus. And like I said, you don't actually have to declare until your second semester of your sophomore year. So there's plenty of time. And if you are coming in undecided, you are always welcome here in our Rhodes classrooms. And that'll allow you to take those courses within the foundations curriculum right up front to explore different courses and majors as well. But so another course that I'll focus on within our foundations curriculum is what we essentially know as our community engagement course. So this essentially asks our students to get out of the classroom and apply what they're learning in the classroom to our broader community in one of 3 different ways during their time here at Rhodes. So first things that we'll talk about is internships. So this is really important for us here being located in a large city like Memphis. So we are the 28th largest city in the United States. So we have so many different large companies that are located here that our students can go out, get internships and volunteer with as well. But so 80% of our students will complete internships, and that's at some of the Fortune 500 companies here within the city of Memphis. So AutoZone, FedEx, ServiceMaster, International Paper, they're all headquartered here. So there are a lot of opportunities for our students to get internships with those larger companies during their time here at Rhodes. But we're also a medical hub here in the city of Memphis. So whether it's St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Baptist, Le Bonheur, or Methodist, there are tons of opportunities for our pre-med and pre-health students to get shadowing hours and also internships with the hospitals that are located here within the city. So we have a career services office that's here on campus that our students essentially can set up an appointment with, go in and say, hey, I'm really interested in a marketing internship. What kind of opportunities should I be looking at within Memphis? And they can tell all the students about whatever kind of programs they know that would be tailored to the kind of internship that they're interested in. So our career services office helps all the way from resume review to interview prep to giving you advice on what to wear to an interview. So they're a really great team and a really great resource that our students have here on our campus to use for getting an internship. The other really great thing about internships here in Memphis is that you can do it on top of your classes. So you can go to class in the morning and then hold that internship in the afternoon. So you don't have to spend your entire summer focused on a specific internship because you can do that here during a semester. You can also do an internship in place of a course 1 year. So if you know that you want to hold an internship, but your classes are a little bit heavy during your junior year, you can also get course credit for that. So there's a lot of flexibility with internships here on our campus. The second way that we ask our students to engage with their community is through undergrad research. So there are 2 really important things to note about research here on our campus. So first and foremost is that it is undergraduate research. So all of our professors during their time here at Rhodes have to hold a research lab, and that's in the humanities and the social sciences, as well as the natural sciences. And so when they need help within their research labs, they have to pull from their undergraduate students since they're the only ones that are on campus. So this is really important research that we're getting during our 4 undergraduate years, whereas at much larger schools, students have to wait until they're graduate students or PhD students, but we can do this hands-on research here. The second important thing to remember is that this is not exclusive to the natural sciences. These are students within the social sciences departments, as well as the humanities. So there are research opportunities for any student who really wants one here on our campus. So you're doing the entire process of research with your professors, from doing data collection to data analysis to actually writing up the paper and going on and presenting it at the research symposium that's held at the end of each semester here on our campus. We're even going out to different symposiums all across the country that are nationwide and presenting your research there. So whether it's the psychology symposium in New Orleans every year, or the chemistry symposium out in California. So students are really doing great national-wide work when it comes to doing research here on campus. Getting involved is as easy as going up to your professor and saying, hey, I really enjoyed this topic that we talked about in class today. Are there any research labs that I should be looking into on campus that focus in this area? And your professor will know who to point you in the right direction to tell you to get connected and get involved with research. The only reason a professor ever says no is because their research lab is already full, and they'll just redirect you to another professor who you can get engaged with and learn from as well. Another research opportunity that I'll quickly mention that we have to offer for our students here on campus is what we call our Summer Plus program. So this is a partnership that we have with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which is about 8 minutes down the street from our campus. And essentially what this is it's a program that our students are invited to apply to. And if they are accepted to the Summer Plus program, they will spend 15 months doing research right alongside researchers at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So this is a really important partnership because we are the only undergraduate program that has a formal partnership for our students to be allowed in their research labs. And you're literally doing this work right alongside the researchers. So at the end of your 15 months, you'll essentially summarize all that you've learned from the researchers and from the research you've been doing and present it to the doctors and your peers and your professors here on campus. So this is a really awesome partnership that we have for our students. And it was going so well that Le Bonheur Children's Hospital also reached out to us and said, hey, we'd love to have some Rhodes students helping out in our research labs as well. And we now have a formal partnership with them too. So lots of opportunities for our students who are on the pre-med and the pre-health track to get some really great research experience out in the community of Memphis as well. So the third opportunity that I'll talk about is our study abroad and study away program here on our campus. So about 75% of students will study abroad or away during their time here at Rhodes. And I really like to think of it as a build your own adventure when it comes to studying abroad here. So we have a study abroad office that has over 300 different study abroad opportunities for our students to take advantage of during their time here at Rhodes. So you can study for a summer program, you can do a fall semester, a spring semester, you could study abroad for an entire year. But you can essentially go into their office and say, hey, I'm really focused on taking my pre-med classes while I'm abroad. What kind of programs should I look at that offer these certain courses? Or you can go in and say, hey, I've always wanted to study in London. What should I be looking at for those opportunities? So it truly is build your own adventure in the sense that whatever your requirements are for your study abroad experience, our study abroad office will find an opportunity that matches up with that. We also offer what are called Maymester programs. So those are Rhodes classes with Rhodes professors and other Rhodes students just abroad in whatever country you're studying for a very abbreviated period of time. So the reason they're called Maymesters is they're usually for the month of May. So they're about a May long program, but it's right after our spring semester ends. You'll likely spend a couple of days here on campus before you go and travel abroad to wherever you're studying. And those programs also go all across the globe. So from London to Belgium to South Africa to Cuba and Russia, there's tons of opportunities to take advantage of when it comes to Maymester programs as well. We also do have a program here on campus that runs during the fall that's called European Studies. And this is another program where you can take Rhodes classes with Rhodes professors and other Rhodes students. And essentially what it is we gather all of our students here at the beginning of our fall semester. And we send them over to Swanee's campus. We have a partnership with Swanee where they also run European studies as well. And they'll study on Swanee's campus for a few weeks before they go abroad and study in Oxford, England for a couple of months. And then at the end of their time, they'll be traveling across Europe, learning about different European countries through actually experiencing them. So that's another very popular study abroad program that we have for our students here. And it's a great program if you want to go abroad with your peers and continue learning from your professors while studying abroad. So like I said, it truly is build your own adventure when it comes to our study abroad office. Another thing that I'll mention is that we have a new financial aid program for study abroad programs that essentially says that the financial aid that you have for a semester here at Rhodes will roll over to over 250 of our study abroad programs. So with it being more financially accessible to all of our families, we're hoping that greater than 75% of our students will choose to study abroad during their time at Rhodes. So we're really excited to offer that for our students in the coming years. So the next thing that we will talk about is being leadership ready. So what does that look like on our campus outside of our classroom? How are students getting their leadership skills through what we offer here? So first and foremost, we have a very residential campus for our students. So pretty much anything that you want to do, you can do here within the gates of Rhodes. So whether it's studying in our beautiful library every day on campus, or whether it's eating at one of our 2 cafeterias here on campus, this is the refectory. It's our all-you-can-eat buffet style here on campus. And then we also have another one that's called the Links Layer that's more like made to order sandwiches and pizzas and all that good stuff. Or whether it's living on our campus. So we have a 3-year residency requirement for our students. And then their senior year, they're invited to move off campus if they choose to do so. But over 75% of our students will just choose to live on campus all 4 years anyways. But we also have over 100+ different organizations and clubs here on campus for our students to engage with. So there's pretty much anything that you are passionate about that's going to be in the form of an organization or club here. So spanning from intramural sports to Greek life to Rhodes Republicans or Rhodes Democrats to the beekeeping club to our Kinney service organization. There's lots of options when it comes to getting involved here on campus. So we have something at the beginning of each semester that's called the SAC Fair. And essentially what it is an opportunity for all of the student organizations on campus to set up a booth here and tell all the first year students what they're passionate about, what they're involved in, what their organization does. And first year students can sign up for the mailing list so they can get information about meetings and all that good stuff that organizations do. So it's very easy to get involved with these different organizations on campus as well. So students use this in terms of leadership to find what they're really passionate about and get really involved within a few of the organizations that they join as a freshman. And then use that opportunity to run for president or secretary, vice president, whatever that may look like. So students find a lot of passion in their organizations outside of the classroom as well here on campus. We are also a D3 athletic school. So we have over 23 different varsity teams here on campus for men and women. So about a third of our campus will choose to participate in D3 athletics during their time at Rhodes. So it's a huge population on our campus, but the really great thing about being a D3 school is that you're a student first and you're an athlete after that. So your coaches definitely understand that academics come first when it comes to your Rhodes experience. So these are definitely leaders in terms of learning time management here on campus. But beyond just our D3 athletics environment here, another third of our campus will either participate in club athletics or intramural athletics. So if you don't want to quite commit to that level of D3 athletics, there's still plenty of options for our high school student athletes as well to continue that on here at Rhodes. And then of course, our students are engaging with service as well. So being located here in the city of Memphis, we are home to the most nonprofits per capita. So there's tons of ways to get involved with service within the city of Memphis as well. So over 80% of our students will go out and they'll give back through doing service within Memphis. That's pretty remarkable because we don't have a service requirement for our students here on campus. So once again, they're finding what they're passionate about and getting involved in a lot of different ways, such as service. So I mentioned earlier an organization that we have here on our campus that's called Kinney. And essentially what Kinney is it's a structured organization that allows for students to go out into the community, talk to different organizations, find out how we can give back as Rhodes students, and they'll send that information out to our students saying, hey, big brothers, big sisters really need some volunteers for this week. Is anybody open to going and helping them out? So it's a very structured way to get involved and really find your niche when it comes to doing community service here on campus as well. So that's another way that our students also are getting involved and giving back and getting those leadership skills. And of course, we'll talk about being career and grad school ready and what that looks like for our students as well. So over 96% of our students will either be employed in a grad school program or volunteering full-time within a year of graduating from Rhodes. So our students are finding a lot of success when it comes to getting involved in starting a career within whatever they want to do. So you can see a list of some of the different titles that students are holding jobs in after they graduate from Rhodes. So whether it's life of loan analyst, English teaching assistant, staff accountant. There's lots of ways that students are going out into Memphis and finding these career paths here within the city. If grad school is much more of your path after graduation, we are in the top 11% in terms of schools who will go on to send students to earn PhDs in their respective fields. So that's the humanities, that's also the social sciences, whether it's psychology or the arts, and it's also our students who are going out and pursuing a pre-med or pre-health degree, or a med school or a health degree after they graduate from Rhodes. So we have twice the national average in terms of sending students onto med school for liberal arts schools that are around our size. So we're very successful for our students who are wanting to go on into med school as well. But so that's all about our campus experience and what that looks like. But of course, we're located here in the city of Memphis. So there's a ton of ways that students are getting out and getting involved within the city as well, just for fun, not even for academic purposes as well. So we'll talk a little bit about what Memphis looks like for our students. So we are located in what's called Midtown Memphis. So that big red shield with the R in the middle, that's exactly where our campus is located within the city. The really cool thing about where we're located is that we're in Midtown, which is much more of like a locally owned kind of artsier area of the city. But we have downtown within about a 8 to 10 minute drive from our campus. So we still have the lively downtown kind of environment within the city, but we are not necessarily located right within the hustle and bustle of that city life. So right across from our campus, you'll run into what's called Overton Park. So that's a nice big green space that students like to take advantage of. So whether it's running or biking on some of the trails or going to the dog park, sitting by the pond, or going to the farmer's market. There's a lot of nice areas to just kind of unwind and relax when it comes to city life, having a nice green space in the middle of it. Within Overton Park, you'll also find the Memphis Zoo. So that's where a lot of our environmental sciences and studies students are holding internships and doing research. But it's also just free for students on Tuesdays. So you can grab a group of friends, go hang out and enjoy a nice Memphis day on a Tuesday after class. If you kept going, you'd also run into what's called the Levitt Shell. So that is an outdoor concert space where they will hold free community concerts on the weekends in the spring and the summer. So another way to just get out, walk over there and go enjoy the city of Memphis. But it's also a little piece of Memphis history right across the street from us. So it's actually where Elvis Presley played his first rock and roll concert. So that was entirely my dad's favorite fun fact about me going to Rhodes. Nothing about the school, just that Elvis Presley played his first concert right across the street. But if you were to keep going, you'd also find the Brooks Museum. So that's where a lot of our art and art history students are doing internships as well. So that's all within about a 10 to 15 minute walking distance from campus. So lots of options when it comes to the Midtown area. But that's all within Overton Park. If you were to go almost right across the street from that, you'd run into what's called Overton Square. So that's where you're going to find a lot of locally owned restaurants and shops. There's always some great live music to listen to over in Overton Square as well. So if you ever make a trip down to Memphis and have a chance to come visit us, I highly recommend going and checking out Overton Square. There's a lot of great options for places to hang out over there. But so that's a little bit about our Midtown area. If you were to go off campus and take a right, within about 10 minutes, you'd run into what's called downtown Memphis. So this is our ever popular Beale Street. Pre-COVID, you can notice there's no mask, so this is not a recent photo. But this is one of our more popular weekends within the city of Memphis. So you can see it says, "Thank you, St. Jude's Heroes." So this is our St. Jude Marathon weekend. So it's really cool to have a city like Memphis where everybody kind of comes together for a lot of different reasons to support the city. So I love this photo because it's one of the ones where you can really see the community of Memphis all together. But so right around Beale Street, there's a lot more things to do than just Beale. So on one side, you'll find the FedEx Forum, which is where a lot of the larger concerts will come through and artists will perform. So for example, Bruno Mars or Post Malone, Ariana Grande, they'll all come through and they'll play concerts within the city of Memphis at the FedEx Forum right downtown. But FedEx is also home to the Memphis Grizzlies, so our NBA basketball team. They perform right there in the FedEx Forum in the heart of downtown. If you were to go across Beale Street, though, you'd run into what's called AutoZone Park. So that is our baseball park. So you'll find the Memphis Redbirds there, which is our local baseball team. but you'll also find the Memphis 901, which is our new soccer team here within the city. So all the sports are kind of located in a nice little central hub right downtown. If you were to go to the very end of Beale Street, you'd run into what's called the Orpheum Theater. So that's where a lot of our off-Broadway shows will come through. So whether it's Hamilton that was running last summer, or Dear Evan Hansen in the fall, or the Book of Mormon in the spring, there's tons of great Broadway shows that you can catch within the city of Memphis as well. Also located downtown, though, we have the National Civil Rights Museum. So we're really fortunate to have that right accessible to all of our students. We have what is called a program that is called Welcome Week here on our campus. And essentially it is a week where we invite all of our first year students to move in before everybody else, just to spend that time getting adjusted to living away from home, living with their roommates, doing their own laundry, that kind of stuff. And so we reserve one of those days specifically to take all of our first year students down to the National Civil Rights Museum so they can walk around, learn about the history, learn about how it's impacted specifically the city of Memphis, but how it still impacts all of us all across the nation here today. So that's really important for us to have that opportunity to take our students there and have that located right downtown for our students. But if you've ever seen the picture or a picture of the Memphis skyline, you've also probably noticed that there's a giant pyramid in the middle of it. And that is in fact a Bass Pro Shop. But don't knock it till you try it. It's definitely one of my favorite things to do here in the city of Memphis. There's a bowling alley, there's a hotel, a restaurant. There's also the largest freestanding elevator, so you can ride it all the way up into the top, look out across the skyline of Memphis, over the Mississippi, and over into Arkansas even. So it's definitely one of the best views of downtown Memphis, and one of my favorite spots to go when it comes to really enjoying the city of Memphis as well. But so that's a little bit about downtown. It's definitely a non-exhaustive list. I've lived here for 6 years, and there are still so many things that I'm discovering about this city every single day. But if you were to go off campus and take a left, you'll also run into what's called East Memphis. So it's out a little bit closer to the suburbs. So it'll be where you'll find your larger stores like Whole Foods and Target and things along those lines. So another thing that I will mention is that all of our students are welcome to bring a car here onto campus as early as their freshman year. You also don't have to pay for a parking pass, so that's super nice. But if you choose not to bring a car, you'll likely know somebody that has one that would be more than willing to drive you around. But we also have a zip car program here on campus where you can rent a zip car and take it for an afternoon, or Uber and Lyft are very popular within the city. So there's also that option as well. So that's one of the great things about Memphis, in my opinion, is that it's a very accessible city when it comes to getting around. So finally, we'll talk about our review process and what that looks like for admission here at Rhodes. So the really important thing to note for us is that we have a holistic admission review process. So what that means is that we are looking at every single thing that we're asking you to submit to us when you send us your application. So we really want to make sure that we're getting a good picture of who you are, not just as the grades that you've made throughout high school, but also just as a community member at your high school as well. So we want to hear about a lot of different aspects when it comes to learning about you as a student. So first and foremost, we are a Common App school, and that is the only way that you can apply to us here at Rhodes. And we also have no fees and no supplemental essays. So it's very easy when it comes to applying here at Rhodes. We're making it as easy on you guys as possible. So what we're looking at when we're looking through your Common App is we are looking through the activities that you submit to us. So whatever you're involved in outside of the classroom, whether that is athletics, maybe it's a club or organization that you're a part of. It could be service as well as a part-time job, or if you have significant family responsibilities, whatever is consistently taking a large chunk out of your time outside of your classroom experience and taking away from your study time, we want to hear about that within that activity section. We also want to hear about any leadership opportunities that you've taken advantage of as well. So are you president of an organization? Maybe you're captain of a sports team or you're manager at work. So whatever leadership may look like for you as well, we want to hear about that too. Then we're also reading through the essay that you submit with the Common App as a whole. So no additional essays, like I mentioned, just the standard Common App essay. And then any comments that you choose to submit to us as well. So if there's anything you want to highlight within your transcript or explain to us, you can use that comment section as well. But if there's anything that you really want to bring our attention to, I highly suggest setting up an interview with one of us so that way we can get to know you a little bit better and talk about those things as well. Then we're also looking at your transcript, and we're looking to see how have you been doing in your classes for your 4 years in high school. But we're also looking to see, have you taken advantage of any rigor that's offered at your high school? So we always like to put you in the context of your own school. So we understand some schools offer APs, others have an IB program, some have an ACE program. So whatever that rigor looks like for you, we just want to see that you've been taking advantage of the opportunities given to you as well. We also understand it's pretty impossible to take advantage of all the rigor, so don't worry too much about that when it comes to the courses that you've taken. We're also reading through your letters of recommendation. So the one that comes from your college counselor, and then also any teacher recommendation letters. So we just ask for one teacher rec letter, but if you choose to submit more to us, we will read through those. We want to make sure that we're understanding who you are as an entire community member. So we'll read through any that you choose to submit to us. And then at the same time that we're evaluating your application for admission here at Rhodes, we are also evaluating your application for any merit-based aid. So there's no additional application that you need to do for that, no box you need to check to make sure that we are considering you for merit aid. We will do that already when you apply to Rhodes. The other really important thing to note for us for this upcoming year, well, actually for the next 3 years, is that we are a test optional school. So what that means is that you are welcome to submit your ACT or your SAT if you would like to do so, if you want us to see those scores. And we will super score both of those, but you are also welcome to choose not to submit your scores as well, and it will not be counted against you in your admission process. So that is entirely up to you on whether you choose to submit that or not. When it comes to need-based aid, we ask for 2 documents to be filled out. So the first is going to be the FAFSA, and then the second is going to be the CSS profile. So the FAFSA goes off to the federal government, and it allows us to consider you for things along the lines of student loans, on-campus employment, student employment, things along those lines. And then the second is going to, or the second is the CSS profile, and it is going to allow us to consider you for aid here at Rhodes. So it'll come directly to us, and it'll allow us to consider you for aid from our Rhodes endowment. So we know these as Rhodes grants, and essentially it is a gift. It is money that you don't have to pay back. So we always encourage families to fill out both of those documents and send them in at the same time as your application. So the reason that we ask them to be sent at the same time as your application is so when we send out our admission decisions, we will have a full financial aid package ready for you at that time. So it's always great to know that you're accepted to a school, but maybe if you're not quite sure how you'll actually be able to afford or attend the school. So that's why we like all those documents at once. We also have a couple of deadlines that I'll mention really quick. So the first one that I want to mention is what's called our early decision deadline. So this is our binding as well as our rolling deadline. So by being a binding deadline, it means that you are committing to come to Rhodes and spend your next 4 years with us when you are accepted under early decision. What it means to be a rolling deadline is that when you apply under ED, you'll hear back with an admission decision from us within about 2 weeks. So it's a very quick turnaround when it comes to early decision. This is also the deadline that we are able to consider our students for the most financial aid, both in terms of merit-based aid and need-based aid. So if that's a concern, that's a great deadline to be considered for the most financial aid. But like I said, it is a binding deadline. So when you're accepted under that early decision, you're essentially saying Rhodes is my top choice. This is where I want to be. There is always the caveat, though, that if you apply under early decision and you're still not able to afford the financial aid package that we have offered, we can discuss options from there as well and release you from that early decision agreement. So that's our first deadline. Like I said, that's early decision. Our second deadline that I will mention is what's called early action. So that deadline is non-binding and non-rolling. So by being non-binding, essentially you are not committing to come to Rhodes when you apply under early action, not necessarily at that time, but it's also non-rolling. So the actual application deadline for that is November 15th, and you'll hear back with an admission decision from us around January 15th. So it's about a 2-month time period between those 2 dates. And then the third decision that I will mention is regular decision. So that's also non-binding and also non-rolling. So it's very similar to the early action deadline, just a little bit later in the school year. So that application deadline is January 15th, and you'll hear back with an admission decision from us around March 15th. So it's a much quicker turnaround in terms of when you'll hear an admission decision from us under your regular decision application till May 1, which is the national decision deadline. Sorry about that. So those are our 3 application deadlines to keep in mind that you can apply to Rhodes under. Last thing that I will mention is some additional scholarships and fellowships that we have as well here on our campus. So these are pretty interest-based for our students, and all of the details for the actual applications and their deadlines are all listed on our admission page under scholarships and fellowships. So if you're curious about any of these and want to look more into them, you can go there to find all of the information. But these are for our students who are interested in fine arts. So arts, music, theater, all kind of encapsulated in that scholarship. There's one for our students who are interested in studying specifically physics. So that is our Taylor Fellowship. There's one for our students who are interested in doing service during their time here on campus. That's called our Bonner Scholarship. There's one for students who are part of our Jewish community, so the Jewish Community Fellowship. And then one for our students who are interested in studying STEM, and that's designed for minority students in STEM. So that's called our Impact STEM Scholarship. So if you're interested in any of those scholarships as well, all of that information, like I said, is on our admission page under scholarships and fellowships. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that y'all learned a little bit more about either Memphis or Rhodes, but we are thrilled to be able to work with you guys and be your admission counselors. So my contact information is here if any of you have any additional questions that you don't want to put into the chat. But I appreciate you guys coming and listening and learning a little bit about Rhodes. But thank you guys so much. And I will check and see if we've got any questions left to answer. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Ali, we did have one question. Could you touch upon Greek life at Rhodes, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So Greek life is about 50% of our campus community. So no matter what you decide to do, you'll always be in the majority when it comes to Greek life here. But we have what's called deferred recruitment. So it actually isn't until January that you all even have the option to join Greek life here. So we have 4 sororities and 5 fraternities when it comes to NPC organizations and IFC organizations. And then we have 6 fraternities and sororities when it comes to our NPHC fraternities and sororities. So like I said, there's deferred recruitment. So you kind of get to move onto campus, get adjusted to being in classes, join other organizations, and then you have the option to join Greek life if you choose to do so during your 2nd semester.
Thanks, Ali. All the rest of our questions were answered privately.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren.
We still have a couple minutes left in the time. If you, I don't know, you may have touched on this a little bit already, but maybe share what you think your favorite campus or school tradition is, or something fun like that.
Yeah, I would love to. And Lauren, I don't know if you may have, actually, I do know that you have a different campus tradition if you want to share it after I do. But one of my favorite things here on campus is what we call Welcome Week. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it's a week where we invite all of our 1st-year students to move onto campus before everybody else. So they have plenty of time to get adjusted to being a student here, kind of, walk around, get a lay of the land, learn where their classes are. And I think that's really a cool opportunity for our students to get connected with each other. They'll know that the people they're meeting are also 1st-year students, so also people who are new to this community. And we have upperclassmen who are also leading that week. So there's a lot of different sessions to learn about our community, hear from people who are already a part of it. So I love Welcome Week. When I was a student here, I actually was a Welcome Week leader. So I think it's a really important adjustment that we offer for our students here on campus. But then we kind of come full circle, and we have at the very end of a student's time here on campus what we call Senior Week, where it's after classes have ended, after everybody's finals are done. It's a week that our student body essentially just celebrates our seniors. They hold different events, whether it's like a senior formal, or they'll bus everybody out to Dave & Buster's, fun stuff like that, just to celebrate the seniors for another week leading up to graduation. So that's one of my favorite traditions, is just having that kind of opportunity to celebrate both phases of life, entering college and then also entering the world after college. So that's one of my favorite traditions here.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. I wasn't sure if Lauren was going to share hers as well, but we have like 2 minutes left. So if you want to share any final thoughts or anything that you want to leave attendees with, so that something they can remember.
Yeah, I'll just mention our visit options beyond just doing CTCL fairs like this. So currently we have invited students and families to join us on campus. If you're interested in joining us here in the city of Memphis, we are abiding by our CDC guidelines, social distancing, keeping our visits really small, making sure everybody is wearing masks, but you'll have the opportunity to hear from an admission counselor like me with an info session, ask some questions in person, but you'll also get to meet a couple of students during your time here on campus. So get much more of a current student perspective. I am an alumni, but I graduated a few years ago, so a little bit of a dated perspective when it comes to the student experience. But we are offering those visits, and as long as they're available, you're welcome to sign up to come and see us here on campus, but also just see the city of Memphis. I love the city of Memphis. There's so many things to do. So really getting a good feel of the community outside of our gates as well. But we also are offering virtual visits at 1:30 every day. So that's another student-led tour. So you'll still get to connect with students in that way. You just won't physically be able to see our campus. But you'll also hear from an admission counselor that way. And you can set up an interview with us as well. So getting to connect with your admission counselor, we love getting to put like names with faces. So that way, when we read your application, we know so much more about you in that way. But like I said, we offer virtual visits every day, and then on Tuesday evenings, as well as one Saturday a month. So lots of options when it comes to coming and seeing us.
Thank you very much for that. And I want to thank you for presenting today. I want to thank our attendees for joining us for this session. And when you close the window here, you will get a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Also, this is just one of many sessions being hosted. Be sure to sign up for additional ones at the same place you registered for this one. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all of the other session recordings, again, the same place that you signed up. I want to thank Lauren and Allie from Rhodes College for presenting today and sharing all that great information. And thank you for attending. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Russ. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.